Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome to the Hangin with Web show. I'm GW Pomichter, and we are here in the studio today for Virtual Media Day. We have been interviewing authors and filmmakers and musicians. We are talking to creative minds of all kinds, and right now we're joined in the studio with the one and only Izzie. Wait for
Hey,
that.
how's it going?
Hi, Izzie. How are you, man? Izzie from Izzie's Caravan. Izzie, let's talk music, my man.
Yeah, sure, man. No,
All
that's what I
right.
do,
So
I guess.
give us a little background on Izzie's Caravan, what your inspirations were, and how you got started, and then we'll talk a little bit about where you're at right now. So let's take us back to the beginning, my man.
Wow, it's been a long journey, man. And it's interesting that you say the beginning because uh, across you know multiple interviews and stuff that I've been fortunate enough to do, right? And so when this question does come up, it's really fascinating because I can actually remember literally as a 4-year-old kid, right? And it was my dad was this big audiophile, right? And he used to play his records and stuff. And I mean, I still remember when I first heard "Money for Nothing" by Dire Straits, and I was absolutely blown away, right? I was like, wow, this is just incredible. I kind of always, from then, I knew that the guitar would have some sort of part to play in my life. So fast forward, around 2005, 2006, me and the boys got together, my vocalist, Sim, and my bass player, then Ray. So we got a band to, we released a couple of records and stuff. And, like I always say, when you're young and naive, right? And you obviously assume that every record is as good as, Zeppelin 4 or something, right? And unfortunately, reality sort of, is uh, not so much in your grasp at that moment. So it kind of, well, long story short, it didn't work out. And believe it or not, I actually quit music after that. And for a decade or so, I actually didn't even pick up the guitar. Right, I had like this beat up guitar. I played on and off, and that was about it, right? And it was just a couple of years back that I really sort of had this second coming, so to speak, right? And just it was a chance meeting with a couple of friends. We ended up playing. One thing led to another, and next thing you know, I have a record out, and Leo's Guitar, which came out in December in 2019, and then it was just one thing after another, right? Zephyrs came out in February of 2020, and then we just released On the Pole, which came out in June, and it's been such a breakthrough record for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good recognition. People listening to it, they really like it, they really dig it, and
From those early days, when you get started, and like you said, we're all rock stars in our own minds when we start out doing anything, and we learn over time uh, how much more mastery of skill we require. How much more time and energy we need to devote to our craft. This time around, coming back from having, like you said, put the music down for a little while, coming back, what made the difference in your opinion? What was the biggest difference this time around that has made a difference?
uh, purity and humility, right? Absolutely, right. Purity because when I got back into it, uh, I didn't realize. I mean, when I grew up, I was listening to old school Aerosmith. I was a huge Aerosmith. I mean, I still am. I was like the diehard Aerosmith fan, right? Zeppelin and stuff. And but behind all this was something which escaped me when I was much younger, and that was the blues. And so this time when I came back, I was like, look, I got to figure out what it was. What was this common denominator behind all these great bands that I'm missing out on? And so this time around, when I say purity, I think it was a little bit more academic as well as musical, right? Where I actually wanted to understand what uh, the blues was about, um, what the history was, the the culture, and so to speak, right? So yeah, I guess that was the purity aspect. And humility was when I started listening to guys like Buddy Guy and Leighton Hawkins and John Lee Hooker and Earl Hooker and I mean Albert Collins. I mean name it. There was this whole sort of meta culture of just these brilliant musicians and these brilliant artists, and it was like opening Pandora's box at that point. And once I
Well,
was
that's
inside, yeah,
that's a great way to look at that too, because again, when we're young, when we're energetic, when we're chomping at the bit to get out there and do what we're going to do. So much of the time we're spending finding out who we are, but not paying as close attention to the influences and how we got where we are. Like you said, when you look at those classic rock bands, you can't. You can look at them as a fan, as a listener, and just hear the distinct sound that they've created. But as a musician, as a student, you want to look at how they got there, the steps along the way, and that deep blues influence that runs through there. It's easy for a fan or a listener listening to the radio to bypass that, to not hear that. But the audiophile in you, the musician, the performer, if you don't catch that, then you're always going to be missing that tiny piece,
yeah,
that one piece of magic that you need to understand to make your work that much better. And it's great that a little bit of maturity and a little bit of experience, and you were able to pinpoint that. So many people can't. So many journeys end when you can't find that missing piece, that missing magic, and you were able to pick it up and do so much. So. Along the journey now, where are you at? How are you feeling about your music and about the way audiences are responding? And how are things now?
oh, really, really exciting. This is it's such an exciting time for us because to me, this latest EP that we did on the Pole, it was such a definitive record for me. This was, as cliche as it sounds, this was the true sort of blood, sweat, and tears record, right? And again, speaking of the blues, I mean, I affectionately call this my Johnny Winter record, because I was so into his catalog of music, and it was so inspirational for me. So when I started writing this record, I knew at that point that this one record has to really sort of make a statement for what this band is and where we want to go from here, right? I mean, we're obviously a little bit older now and much more sort of wiser in terms of how we want to sort of approach this project now and
Awesome.
take it forward. So yeah, On the Pool's doing great. It did really well on iTunes. It's hit the charts. So that's really awesome. That was, and it's such a thrill, right? When, I mean, we just hit the charts just a few days ago, and when you see your name, and then I'm just seeing it wasn't even the fact that my name was there. It was just that sort of the names that are on that list at that point, right? There's Bob Dylan and Robert Cray and Elvis Costello, and you're just like, wow, that's actually my name next to these guys, right?
It's just
So
what an amazing part of the journey to realize
yeah,
that I think we all aspire to what we perceived as we were growing up as greatness,
right,
but to look over and see, hey, wait a minute, I'm a part of this whole tradition, and it's official. I'm there. I'm a part of
yeah.
this whole tradition. What an amazing moment. We are okay. There we go. Good. Oh, I like that. I like that. We this part of our journey with our independent musicians has been getting to know more and more about music. For those of you who are listening on the radio, you already know this. If you're listening on Facebook, you probably should know this. I can play the radio. That's my only talent. This doesn't do anything. I can't play an instrument. I have no hand-eye coordination. The fact that I'm holding my microphone up right now is actually miraculous. That's why I wear the lavalier most of the time, because I don't have any hand-eye coordination. So I'm always learning what musicians can do and seeing all of those talents. I also learned a lot about the relationship musicians have with their instrument and with their performances. So, do you have a favorite guitar, a favorite instrument?
Yes, absolutely.
And does she have a name?
Yeah, I'm actually a die-hard Fender. I mean, I'm a self-proclaimed Fender fanatic, right? I mean, I think I have literally I'm in the studio and there's like just a line of Fenders right now, right? So, and they've all, I was one of them's called Susie, one of them's called Benny, one of them's called Lucy. I mean, and now there's just so many of them. It's just like having way too many children, and you sort of start a little bit. Right? You're like, oh, which one are you? Right? Well, that's
That's awesome. Right. That is so awesome, man.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, thank you for hanging out in the chat with us. We really appreciate it. Again, we see so many great names and faces over there in the chat. So let's talk a little bit. What do we have? Izzie and the Caravan. We've got music up on HWWS Indie Music Radio. Okay, we have Holy in Your Smile and South of Yesterday, which are currently breaking across HWWS Indie Music Radio. But you know what? When we first started interviewing musicians, we had so much fun with the interviews, and I love to visit with other creative artists. But the more we talk to music, the more I realized that what people really, really enjoy? The music. So, Izzie, with your permission, I think Sage has a music video that we were able to pull from your YouTube channel. Would you like to entertain some of these fine folks with a music video?
Sure, yeah. All
right, and then we'll come back on the other side of the music video. I don't even get to know what it is because she just picked it, and I don't know what it is. So,
but be warned. I think Holy in Your Smile is a good 8 minutes long. So if you want to take that gamble,
what do you have? What? Talking Easy?
Oh no! In fact, we just released a new one. I think you could play that one.
There's a new one. He said there's a new one you can play.
It's called On the Pole.
Actually,
you can play Drowning Man's Blues. That would be a good one. That's a short.
There we go. Okay, I love it. He gets to pick the music. Good.
Yeah.
He's the musician. Let him pick the music. Good. Guys, we're going to go ahead and play y'all a music video. When we come back, we'll say goodbye to Izzie, and we'll chat a little bit more on the other side of the music video. How's that sound? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The Drowning Man's Blues. Whiskey drown. All right, man. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Izzie.
Well, thank you for playing that, man. That's really
Absolutely,
cool.
man. That was great. Guys, you guys can check out more of Izzie's videos on his YouTube channel. We're going to make sure there's a link for that. Also, you can check it on our playlist, our IMTV playlist at HWWS WebTV. That's, little I, MTV. We're putting the music back in music television because, reality TV is, taking over. So enjoy that, guys. We're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap the interview portion here, and then we're going to keep chatting with Izzie a little bit as we move to the next one. But in the meantime, we want to thank our partners and friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, Space Coast Comics, our great friends at Josh Bauer, J. Bauer Art, for all the art that's on our set, our great friends at Brevard Film and Talent and Mommy and G Creations, and of course, all of you who are tuned in and logged on. Thank you. Remember, continue to log on and tune in to see who we're hanging with next.